Yeah. Hey, y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here. We got some things to talk about this morning. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to put a little smile on some of y'all faces. I'm not going to be able to put no smile on your face, but it is what it is. All right, y'all. Yeah. For educating and community purposes. How y'all doing? Yeah, please respect one's opinion, y'all. And thanks for watching. We're going to get into something very important to y'all lives. Yes. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. You won't regret it. But before we do anything, close that screen door and stop letting all them flies up in here. You know, grandmama don't like flies in her house. Yeah. Well, I tell you. Y'all better be prepared for these changes. Because you know the changes was coming. I don't know what make y'all think that the changes was going to remain the same. Y'all just don't know that last couple years, it been a freeze on my money. With your homeboy up there, with Biden up there. Biden chewed my money up. Yes, sir. Yes, he did. He affected my food. He affected my pocket. He affected my bills. So when you get different presidents, y'all, when you get a different president in different situations, you're gonna have different things. Y'all got to be expected changes. Changes are very important. Like, now, what we're gonna talk about? What programs? Let me turn the music out for a minute. Before y'all get upset and be mad with the world, listen what's going on now. Listen what's going on, because I'm going to break it down to you. I ain't going to lie, I ain't going to be in the curve, and I'm going to talk slang. Yes, sir. Now, what's going on, y'all? We're going to discuss, and then we're going to watch a video, okay, to make y'all truly understand, okay, from that perspective. What programs aren't and are affected by the federal funding freeze, okay? That's something that's very important that we're going to get into. That's why you used to hear some of your parents back in the day take the opportunity of all this, all of these programs is funding for you all. Use it. Use the program. Use the money. You know, do what you need to do. Better do what you need to do. So now what we're going to get into, what's going on. What's going on. Now, a lot of politician woke up this morning with a big email, and an email kind of affected their pocket as well. Okay. What programs we're gonna talk about two things. What programs aren't affected by the funding freeze? And you got to remember, when Biden up there, he had programs that affected a couple of these fundings over here on this side that has not been affected. Okay, I remember last year when Biden was there, he affected Social Security. Some of the Social Security we had. He did it's a whole lot of stuff, But so we're gonna confuse you. So that's why we're gonna, and it's unclear. So we're gonna listen to a video. But before we get into the video, what I want to do that y'all do right now is like, share, and subscribe this video. A lot of people don't understand. Not even the people who are in the position don't understand what he doing, what Trump is doing. But Trump got to have some reason behind why he doing it and what he doing it for. Okay? Because it seemed like he did something like what Biden had to do. He had to grab from some part of economy that's going to affect a lot of us, like it did last year for y'all this year. Now, let's get into the programs that aren't affected by the funding freeze. Okay, and we're gonna call the Office of Management budget OMB. Okay, that's what we are. That's what it's all about. The management budget. Okay. Now it was indicated that Social Security and Medicare programs would be exempt from the suspension in the federal fund, and that's good. Additional, this Tuesday they released further specific that any program that provides direct benefits to Americans is explicitly included from the pause. Okay, see, they're not telling y'all everything, they're just telling y'all things that you're gonna wake up and get mad about. Okay, so in addition to Social Security and Medicare already explicitly included in the guidance mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP, they will continue without pause, y'all. The update guidance said, now that's what the memo said. Now, the memo adds that funds for small businesses, this is what y'all need to listen to. The funds for small businesses, farmers, Pell Grants, Head Start, rental assistance, and other similar programs are also exempt. Okay? So y'all don't have to worry about them. But we're going to talk about the ones that is going to affect. In y'all situation now, it is going to affect a lot of families because that's a change. It's a change. Be ready for changes, y'all. Okay, if change come, yeah, we're going to have to be ready for it. Or don't be ready for it. Now, in this situation right here, it could be the difference between having a job and not getting evicted or affording food, and economy numbers won't really reflect how different individuals are going to feel this. Okay, now I just couldn't understand, and I don't understand why it didn't affect y'all last year. Food affected me. The food was so high, and I had to go in my pocket and lower budget my money to buy food. So a lot of people was affected about things is that Biden did. It affected the way I had to do the jobs and affording food. Because I was like, y'all, I showed y'all the video. I said, why is this food so high? I showed y'all the video. Now we on this side over here. Now, here what you need, what to know about who may be affected by the proposed. So we talked about who won't be affected. I just went over that with y'all. If you missed it, go back through it and listen to the video, okay? I'm not going to go over that again. Now, here's what to know about who may be affected by the proposed federal funding. Well, let's start with SNAP, SNAP benefits. The freeze does not apply to all federal financial assistance, okay? According to an Office of Management and Budget. Not all apply to all federal financial assistance would be affected. Now, the agents indicate that supplemental nutrition assistance program like SNAP benefits, better known as food stamps, are excluded, specifying that any program that provides direct benefit to America. Okay? I just answer y'all question. Don't worry about that now. Yeah, what you know, you may be affected. Some of y'all gonna get it, some of y'all they're gonna decrease it. You may see a big decrease. I don't think they're gonna completely stop it, but it's gonna be decreased. You know. So did they answer, will I still get SNAP benefit, my food stamp? It indicated that supplemental nutrition assistance program as SNAP benefits, better known as food stamp, are excluded, specifying that any program that provide direct benefits to Americans is explicitly excluded from the pause and exempt from this review process. I'm sorry. In addition to Social Security and Medicare already explicitly included in the guidance, mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP will continue without pause. So you're going to get your food stamps. Now, I don't know about the decrease, but you're going to get your food stamps. So don't worry about that, okay? You have food. Now, the SNAP serves roughly 41 million low-income Americans. While the program appears to be exempt from the freeze, y'all exempt from the freeze, so you're going to get that, okay? You are still going to be really worried in the near term whether the federal government is going to make good on those promises. So you got to make sure that Trump is going to keep those promises, not to mess with your food stamps, your Social Security, any kind of program. Now, are foods for the seniors affected? So, the Older Americans Act Nutrition Program, a federal initiative that supports community-based senior nutrition programs with like Meals on the Wheels, could be affected by proposed funding pause. If the order includes the Older Americans Act, it would have service to millions of vulnerable seniors who have no other food or purchasing preparing meals, like Meals on the Wheels, said in a statement. But that is a lack of clarity, y'all. Now, housing assistance. Will they be at risk? Let's see. Rental assistance and other similar programs will not be paused, okay? Still, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition expressed concern that Department of Housing and Urban Development programs could be covered by freeze, okay? Even a short pause, y'all. This is a pause, okay? In funding could cause significant harm to low-income families and their communities, okay? And y'all have to remember this. Everybody, a lot of people was affected while Biden was up there, okay? They was affected. The child didn't know it. They were. They had to do what they had to do to make it do what it had to do. But y'all didn't know it. Now, the longer the freeze continues, the greater the risk that low-income housing receiving federal rental assistance could face eviction. Now, when it comes down to eviction, y'all, I don't want to see nobody on the streets. I think it should be not just cut it out completely and put people on the street. No, I don't agree with that. No, I don't. I don't want to see nobody on the street. But the longer the freeze continues, the greater the risk that low-income housing receiving federal rental assistance could face eviction. And in the worst cases, homelessness. Homeless shelters may be forced to close their doors, and nonprofit organizations may have to lay off staff. Now, this pause can affect your family and the way you live. Now, are the student loans affected? Okay, the federal funding freeze does not apply to student loans and Pell Grants. According to the Department of Education now, the funding pause only applies to the discretionary grants at the Department of Education, DOE sportsmen. Well, we're going to get into that later on. Let them talk to y'all. Any kind of freeze to federal financial aid across the board is incredibly harmful to working families just trying to pay for college. So a lot of questions remain, y'all, that I'm gonna let them answer, but because I can't answer that, okay? I'm trying to get y'all the heads up. Meanwhile, many student barriers rely on different kinds of government, y'all, assistance. See, a lot of these programs help a lot of students get into school that couldn't afford to get in the program. There are other types of federal work study grants that are directly to colleges and universities, supplemental education opportunity that go to some of the lowest income students. People really rely on federal financial aid. And you could see families having to drop out of college or figure out how they will cover this gap. Now, the statistic behind the management budget program is indicate that the Head Starts, a preschool program serving nearly 800,000 low-income children that receive federal health funds, is not impacted, y'all, by the pause. Okay, moms? Y'all not impacted by this, okay? But the National Head Start Association said that management budget has already created panic among Head Start grant recipients who are certainly not able to draw any funds. They understand that this is an evolving story. Disruption, at best, will slow down Head Start agencies' ability to pay hundreds of thousands of staff. They're going to have to downsize their staff contractors, small businesses who support Head Start operation in early corners of the country. NHSA Executive Director Jasmine said in a statement, at worst, this means that hundreds of thousands of families will not be able to depend on the critical services and likely will not be able to work. Likely. Medicaid system goes down. These are all the programs that it might not affect. These are the programs that it's not going to affect. That's why I'm reading them out to you so y'all can understand the kind of talk they're going to talk to you. Okay? These programs right here who may be affected by the proposed pause. These SNAP, who may be, these are the programs. SNAP benefits, Meals on Wheels for seniors, housing assistance at risk, student loan, how it affected, I already spoke on that. Head Start programs. Now let's go to the Medicaid system goes down. Now, despite the update guidance issued Tuesday, starting that program included Medicaid were excluded from the funding pause. State Medicaid programs on Tuesday said they were locked out of the Department of Health and Human Services system used to track and disburse money. God, he working fast. The White House late Tuesday pointed to an outage for blocking a range of organizations and agencies, y'all, from accessing the online system responsible for tapping federal health money. But y'all gotta remember, a lot of people abusing this system, this federal system. They even calling your house hanging up, acting like they scam. It's a lot of scamming out there. They gotta put a stop some kind of way to this scamming, y'all. There's a lot of scamming out here in these programs. In these federal programs, a lot of scamming, y'all. So how he doing it and what he doing it, I just don't make it hard on the low income families. Don't make it so hard on them. But the payment management service web portal displayed a message reading, due to executive orders regarding potentially unallowable grants payments, PMS is taking additional measures to process payments, reviews of applicable programs, and payment will result in delays and a rejection of payment. The National Association of Medicaid Director is seeking clarification on the interruption from the White House, according to the spokesperson, which I'm going to listen to in a few seconds. People, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay? Because you just can't be cut off. Can't be cut off from that. So that's now it's something to think about. Why y'all not taking life serious now? It's something to think about. So economy is gonna affect a lot of y'all. It affected me last 5 years. It did. It affected me when Clinton, what not Clinton, but what's the man named Biden was there. Poor Biden just messed me up. So what we're gonna do is get into this video from the White House, the Office of Management, and the Budget. And thanks for listening. Oh yeah, let me put my cup of coffee up here. Okay, y'all, let's look at this video right quick. Okay, here we go, y'all. Here we go.
Who rely on state services to get the care that they need. This policy will disrupt the lives of millions of Americans in New York and nationwide. Scope and meaning of this memorandum. The reality is that some states are already reporting that funds have been frozen. Head Start was frozen in Michigan. Access to child development block grants were frozen in Maryland. At least 20 states have been frozen out of their Medicaid reimbursement systems, including New York. And in one state, it was reported that they were blocked out of their child support enforcement, and they cannot draw down on these funds. Here in New York, we rely upon these critical services throughout our state, and these funds support health care in rural and underserved communities. They fund infrastructure repairs to fix New York's roads and bridges. They support initiatives to take drugs off of our streets, stop dangerous crime rings, and keep communities safe. In fact, last night in Arizona, 500 pounds of meth were seized thanks to federal programs that could be paused. Not only does this administration's new policy put people at risk, but it is plainly unconstitutional. The president does not get to decide which laws to enforce and for whom. When Congress dedicates funding for a program, the president cannot pull that funding on a whim. Later today, I am leading and joining with my colleagues, my fellow Democratic Attorney Generals, in suing this administration to stop this illegal freeze of essential funds for our state. We will not stand for any illegal policy that puts essential services for millions of Americans at risk. And we work tirelessly overnight to ensure that that does not happen. Our lawsuit will seek a court order to immediately stop the enforcement of the OMB policy and to preserve essential funding for Americans. And now, to share more about our efforts, I'd like to welcome my friend, California Attorney General Rob Bonta.
Thank you, A.G. James. I'm proud to co-lead this lawsuit with you and attorneys general across the nation. We will not stand by while the president attempts to disrupt vital programs that feed our kids, provide medical care to our families, and support housing in our communities. We won't stand by while the president breaks the law and oversteps his authority as outlined in our Constitution, a Constitution he swore an oath to uphold just 1 week ago. It shouldn't be too much to ask that the president follow the law and abide by the federal government's commitments. Yet, unfortunately, but unsurprisingly, here we are again, threatening to freeze up to $3 trillion in nationwide federal assistance at 2 p.m. Pacific time today, less than 24 hours after it was announced, is reckless. It is dangerous, unprecedented in scope, and devastating in its intended effect. It's thrown state programs into chaos and created confusion among our residents, confusion that is only further fueled by another memo that was just released today and that our team is actively reviewing. It's forced us to take immediate Administrative Procedures Act. Not to mention that it's arbitrary and capricious. The federal government should have to follow the rules, follow the process that's laid out by the law, same as any of us. They're not. OMB, the president, does not have unilateral authority to indefinitely pause all federal financial assistance under any circumstance. That isn't OMB's job. That isn't the president's job. The U.S. Constitution gives the power of the purse exclusively to Congress. OMB is jumping so far out of their swim lane that, frankly, they are out of the pool. This directive completely violates the separation of powers between Congress and the executive branch. That's why we're here, seeking a temporary restraining order to block the unlawful directive from being implemented. We're in week 2 of the new administration, and here we are again, a second lawsuit against another blatantly unlawful action by our new president. Disappointing, but not at all surprising. Instead of learning from the defeats of his first administration and the early defeats in this administration, President Trump is once again plowing ahead with damaging.
Hold on, y'all.
Tax waiting.
And I repeat, unlawful agenda. I'm proud to join a coalition of attorneys general in taking him to court, where we will find relief and stop his unlawful actions. And now let me please turn it.
Thank you, A.G. Bonta. I'm happy to co-lead this action on behalf of all Americans and certainly all citizens of the state of Illinois. This unconstitutional pause in funding will have a devastating impact on the public safety, prosperity, and quality of life of all.
Recording in progress.
Democrats and Republicans alike will be negatively impacted by this pause in funding. It impacts our ability to go after offenders who prey on our children, because this impacts our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Our task force has enabled us to capture a record number of child predators. That is compromised. It impacts VERG-JAG funding that allows our law enforcement partners to fight crime. It impacts those who rely on Medicaid for life-saving health care. It impacts our capacity to provide for veterans who served our country. Head Start and child care programs. The support for critical research at our universities. And support for farmers who grow our food. And of course, critical investment in infrastructure needed for our roads and bridges and keeping our working families working. On January 20th, our nation had a peaceful transfer of power. But let's be clear, January 20th was an inauguration, not a coronation. Congress is given the power to appropriate the funding. The executive branch cannot unilaterally disregard those appropriations passed by a separate and equal House of Government. We will collectively fight this unconstitutional mandate. Now I'd like to pass it on to the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Thank you, A.G. Raoul. Good afternoon, everyone. I am extremely proud to join my counterparts today, including Democratic AGs who are unable to be with us, but who also are part of these efforts and a part of this coalition, as we continue to hold President Trump accountable for yet another unlawful abuse of power. The president's directive to pause federal aid, simply put, violates the separation of powers. And I am proud to join this coalition in filing a lawsuit against this action for that very reason. Congress controls the purse strings, and the executive branch cannot decide to halt funding just because they don't like how Congress chooses to spend it. In Massachusetts, we receive more than $20 billion in federal funding each year. And just yesterday, the Commonwealth tried to draw almost $40 million from Medicaid and haven't received the payment yet. This is just one potential funding stream that could be impacted by this reckless order. The money goes towards projects that improve the health, welfare, and economic stability of our residents' lives on a daily basis, including healthcare, childcare, education, and transportation, food assistance, and of course improvements to improve the very roads we drive on, and so much more. Nearly every part of our lives is impacted by federal aid. Instead of following through on the promises the president promised to help people, including working people, poor people, he is instead stripping funding from the very families that rely on these precious resources and doing so illegally. AGs have been doing the work long before he was president to hold any administration and anyone accountable who harms our residents. This is simply a continuation of the work we've already done, and we will not allow this abuse of power to continue. That's why we're taking urgent action as a collective, because what we all deeply understand is the impact of this particular order does not affect one individual state. It has a national impact. And this coalition is always proud not only to protect its people, but to do so in collaboration and to always do it while upholding the law and the Constitution. Again, I'm very proud to work in partnership with this incredible coalition. And I now turn it over to my New Jersey counterpart, Attorney General Matt Plackett.
Thank you, General Campbell, and all my colleagues on this call, as well as those who could not be on here, for your incredible work and partnership as we stand up collectively as a coalition of attorneys general who took an oath to uphold the Constitution of this nation, the same Constitution that the President of the United States last week took an oath to uphold, in standing up for the rule of law. This overnight, illegal, unconstitutional attack on trillions of dollars of federal funding that goes to support our kids in school, funding that ensures that our seniors receive health care, funding that ensures our law enforcement officers who are working tirelessly around the clock to keep us safe can keep doing their jobs. That's what we're talking about here. And when the president and his administration, with a stroke of a pen, issues an unconstitutional and unlawful directive that freezes that funding simply because he doesn't like something about our states, about a particular person in our state, about a policy that's duly enacted in our state that's totally unrelated to the funding at issue. He not only violates the laws and the constitutions of this nation, he violates the norms of who we are as a people. Because I've said many times, the president in this country is powerful. He is not a king. He does not get to wake up in the morning or after an afternoon nap and direct his entire government to stop funding critical services that Congress has duly authorized and appropriated, that millions and millions of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, independents, children, adults, seniors, depend on for life-saving care because he doesn't like something that he woke up thinking about. That's not the rule of law. And when we say we're going to stand up for the rule of law, we mean it. And this is the second example, as others have noted. We stood up when the president unlawfully tried to rewrite the 14th Amendment on his first day in office, stripping birthright citizenship out of the Constitution, and we're doing it again today. And I think the lesson here for this administration is we are prepared. We are prepared to stand up for the rule of law. We are prepared to stand up for the residents of our state and of this nation when he unconstitutionally and unlawfully targets them in ways that hurts them in very real ways. I want to thank my...
Well, we heard that one part from like Democrats. Let's listen to the Republican side of things. Y'all, my take in this is I was affected by his with S. So what we're gonna do now is hear what we're gonna do. We're gonna hear the Republicans senators react, how he's going to react on the funding freezing, on the funding freeze on grants and loans. I'm still trying to see how they gonna do that. I'm trying to see how they gonna put you in school now. So if they put a freeze on your grant, that means what? Okay, that's what they did. That's what they're doing. But let's see what's really going on the Republican side, and then we'll see what they're talking about on the Democratic side. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
Today finds the Democrats in disarray, and we're going to find out here real soon whether that disarray extends to the defense of Israel. And frankly, the states and Israel. The National Criminal Court has targeted American soldiers, and if we don't take a stand against that, now they will do it again. So I want to thank Senators Risch, Cotton for their leadership on this issue. You'll hear from them more about that in just a moment. The other issue, as we all know, on the floor these days is nominations. And as you all know, the Democrats made a big deal and blocked the nomination from John Radcliffe, the CIA, last week. Ultimately, he ended up getting 74 votes on the floor, and that's going to be the case. I mean, they can block these votes. We're going to continue to press on and get them confirmed, and they can do this the hard way or easy way. If they want to continue to obstruct and delay, we're going to continue to grind and grind and grind, and we'll do that through the weekend if necessary. So I'm hopeful, particularly on these noms that we know have broad bipartisan support that have come out of the committees. With people into place. That Trump left office sanction and help on this important issue. It's been very well near a full year since the Democrats obstructed this bill, and I'm glad that Republicans in both the House, the Senate, and the White House are taking action to protect American sovereignty, the sovereignty of American citizens, and the rights of our ally Israel. But yet, I'm glad a sizable number of House Democrats voted for this bill, not once, but I expect we'll see Democrats when the national Benjamin Netanyahu attack this move across the court of justice. Incumbent opposite legal right see the corrupting Senator with quick questions.
See what the Republican, that was the Republicans senator right there reacted to the funding freeze. So let's listen to the Democratic side so y'all can see the difference in what's going on.
There's a little known way to get up to $100,000 in business funding with
Now this is the Democratic side.
Everybody for coming, and special thanks to Senators Murray, our ranking member on Merkley on budget, and Senator Hassan, the ranking member on something. So thank you for coming. Last night, President Trump plunged the country into chaos, a cruel, nasty chaos. Without a shred of warning, the Trump administration announced a halt to virtually all federal grants and loans across the country. In an instant, with no precedent, no justification, perhaps trillions of dollars that help American families every single day. It's cruel. It's reckless. And this money supports states and cities, school boards, hospitals, small businesses, families, firefighters, police officers, fighting fentanyl,
teachers.
So many things just boom, cut. Law enforcement, aid to the elderly, support for veterans. It's dangerous. It's cruel. It's illegal, and it's up in the last week. It is nothing. Now the public in another things that hurt.
That was the Democratic senator. Want to tell y'all little things where things stand at, y'all. Federal workers aiming to drastically decrease the size of the federal workforce and push out people who do not support President Trump's political agenda. His administration on Tuesday offered roughly 2 million federal workers the option to resign, but be paid through the end of September. Wow. Now, Mali security detail, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has told General Mark Metley, the retired chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, that he is removing his security detail, revoking his security clearances, and ordering an inspector general inquiry into his records. The Pentagon, that's what the Pentagon said Tuesday. Now, also, what's going on is the funding freezing. It's a lot going on, y'all. A funding judge in the District of Columbia on Tuesday afternoon temporarily blocked President Trump order to freeze trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans until they could be vetted to ensure they aligned with his plan to purge the government of what he calls a woke ideology. Okay? Ideology, I'm sorry. But the freeze order had already disrupted Medicaid and a variety of other programs, leaving millions insured if they would lose access to jobs, services, and health care. Woo, honey. he trying to get the federal workers to resign just to remake the U.S. government. I don't know, no. Woo, 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 woo. The trunk of wow, y'all. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on now. Like I said, I just wanted to tell y'all that part. What's going on with federal workers? Because they're trying to get 2 millions of them to resign. Mm, okay.
They putting in charge the chief cook and bottle washer of 2025. Russell Vogt. To him, the American people hate it. People are scrambling in all of our states to figure out what it means. I've gotten hundreds of calls from everybody. Head Start, hospitals, firefighters. What does this mean? What does this mean? People are worried. People are in a panic about it. And many of our groups that get the money, whether they be governments or businesses or nonprofits, they have to make mortgage payments. They have to pay their staff. They have to keep operations running. What do you think when you heard the funding is cut?
Yeah. See, that's what I was saying. What are y'all thinking of those who are in school, depending on these federal funds? What do y'all people at home think about these cuts? A lot of y'all have been waking up into to this news. This news is very important. How your child going to, so how the funding that making these Head Start kids start school early. When supposed to stop, what it's going to cost you at your job? Do you have to quit working to stay at home with the kids? But right now they in school because they dealing with the grant and the program. All them programs right there can help you keep your kids in school and found food on your table and your mortgage. So this is something that people need to wake up and take very seriously while they playing around with this, thinking that, oh, I'm gonna let everybody else handle this. You may be in a big situation. You know, eh, wake up, people, and take this serious. Write it down. Talk about it with your families.
Just about any organization, whether it's a school, a state, a police department, fire, hospital, that depends on federal grant money to run its day-to-day operations is now in danger. Healthcare for seniors and veterans is at risk. Thanks to Donald Trump, mass transit workers getting to and from work will have a difficult time. Thanks to Donald Trump, there's new taxes for Americans everywhere, a new tax on active military duty and spouses. They totally eliminate the child tax credit and they tax Social Security benefits. Hospitals and community health centers can't put down any of their funds. They need it every day to deal with people who have emergencies in hospitals. Head Start programs in New York have already begun to feel the impact. They're unable to access any funds. Some of them owe rent checks today. They don't have the money. This is cruel, and it affects everything everywhere. Republicans are quite literally defunding the police. And on all these things, we will not stand idly by. The blast radius of this terrible, unconstitutional, and illegal decision felt over and over and over again by families. And we are already in touch with families and people throughout the country to mobilize them against this cruelty, this blatant assault on Americans. And American families should make no mistake, the money's been taken from them, will be spent. That money will be spent, but not on them, on the people at the very top who want tax cuts. It's cruelty and lawless, as I said. Does this cruel action hold down the price of your groceries? No. We'll probably raise it. Just yesterday, even before they did this, I was in upstate New York talking about funding to stop the scourge of bird flu because eggs are $6. You hold back the funding that farmers need to do that, much this affects things. So, no matter how much you believe, the president does not have the authority to ignore the law. I spoke to Tish James, our Attorney General in New York, and she is the head of the Attorneys General Association. They're filing a suit, and we're going to be joining them in other legal action. But it's not just going to be legal action. It's going to be action everywhere. Pressure on Republican House and Senate members to see if they support this stuff. Mobilization of people across the board, because this cannot stand. It's just awful. Patty.
Well, y'all, I just wanted to bring some of this information to y'all because a lot of people ain't taking it serious yet. They not. But people with kids in any programs and in schools and doing, need these grants. As you need to make some kind of, be prepared to make changes this year, y'all. Be prepared for changes. That's all I can say. Ain't nothing I can do about it, but just be prepared for it. That's why y'all need to go back to working. Get a job. Get a job for you, start back working. It's a lot of changes about to come, y'all. Whether you like it or not. Let me see. That's about it that I want to bring into y'all this morning. That freeze. And I'm so glad I'm out of school. But we got kids that in school, and we federal fund people going to get their nails, cosmetologists, and all of that stuff is going to be affected for people who just start their classes and woke up this morning and it's a freeze. He freeze. Trump freezing everything. Ooh wee. And y'all, and the first thing a lot of y'all woke up to said, is he gonna freeze the food stamps? You don't know. I just gave y'all some information on that, so y'all can go back and check the video out. I just tell y'all, it said something about somebody asked me how they froze the food stamp. Food stamp safe, SNAP safe, Social Security safe, Medicare safe, Medicaid safe. Safe. Now let's see. Let's see what it says. All right, y'all. I'm going to give you a list of what could be impacted by this freeze. Okay, so this is to prepare y'all for what's about to take place. Okay, so check on your loved ones, check on your families. Any program that provides direct assistance to Americans would not be affected, y'all. Listen, I just told y'all, so don't worry, okay? What would be impacted by the freeze? And it's mentioned here that I did a little research. It said Trump officials said programs that provide direct assistance to Americans will not be affected. These include food stamps, SNAP, student loans, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, funds for small businesses, farmers, Pell Grants, Head Start, and rental assistance. These are the ones that this would be impacted, y'all, by the freeze. It said would be impacted by the freeze. Also, it said Trump officials says programs that provide direct assistance to Americans would not be affected, but these programs would be affected by freeze. I don't understand that. 1 minute they saying, 1 minute they saying this, 1 minute they saying that. Well, we know student loan in it. Social Security not supposed to be in it. So that's what it's like what Trump is saying is can confuse you a little bit because it's saying one thing and it's saying another thing. So it said what could be impacted by the freeze is food stamps, SNAP, student loans, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, funds for small businesses, farm Pell Grants, Head Start, rental assistance. And then it also said that Trump officials said programs that provide direct assistance to America would not be affected. Now, when he said programs that provide direct assistance to America, okay, that's the normal program, I guess. The reason why Trump administration did this, y'all, officials said new administrations must review federal programs to ensure that they are being executed in accordance with the law, y'all, and a new president policy. Now here go some questions that I make an answer for some of y'all in case y'all just have some questions and he answered them as well. The management office, budget office answered these questions, y'all. And it's just a pause, y'all. It's just a pause. Could be as short as a day. Okay, they just pause it for a minute. Someone said, is this a freeze on all federal financial assistance? And the answer is no. The pause does not apply across the board. It is expressly limited to programs, projects, activities implicated by President Executive Order. Now, another question someone asked said, is there a freeze on benefits to Americans like SNAP or student loans? No. Any program that provides direct benefit to Americans explicitly excluded from the pause and exempted from this review process. In addition to Social Security and Medicare already explicitly excluded, and the guidance mandatory program like Medicaid and SNAP will continue without a pause. Okay. Someone else asked the question, is the pause of federal financial assistance an impoundment. No, it's not an impoundment under the Impoundment Control Act. It is a temporary pause, y'all, to give agencies time to ensure that financial assistance conforms to the policies set out in the president executive orders to extend permission by the law. Another question was, why was the pause necessary? To act as faithful stewards of taxpayer money, new administrations must review federal programs to ensure that they are being executed in accordance with the law and the new president policy. And those are some questions that people had, okay? All right, y'all. I hope y'all I educated you a little bit, but it is still some information out there that you can go online. And I just decided to research stuff that I saw out there that could manufacture us, make us, feel relaxed and not worry, single moms, single families, and all that. Y'all like, share, and subscribe.